Hi there, I'm Ken Lammers. Welcome to Minor League Matters. And if you've been paying any attention to my website or this video blog, you know that I've been watching the Greeneville Reds for the entire last weekend. Could only listen to them on the radio tonight, and they lost to the Johnson City Cardinals in overtime at Johnson City. But over the weekend, they were home in Greeneville on Tusculum College's campus in the best stadium in the Appalachian League. So let me give you a little bit of a heads up on what's going on there and how things are working out. As everybody knows, this is the Greeneville Reds' first year. The Astros left last year after something like 15 to 17 years there, something like that. And it's caused some significant problems, the changeover. The Reds seem to throw things together pretty quickly and put a fair number of kids in that probably should have stayed in the Arizona compound for a while, compound leagues for a while, or Dominican compound leagues. But they moved them up into the Appalachian League, and they've had a little bit of a rough go of it. As of now, they've won 4 games out of about 15 or something like that. So let's talk about what went on this weekend, though. This weekend, I started out by going to the Friday game, and they were playing the Bluefield Blue Jays. And for those of you who don't know, in the Appalachian League, you carry the same name as as the mothership, as the team you're affiliated with. So the Bluefield Blue Jays and the Greeneville Reds, it was just a slugfest. Not a whole lot of defense on either side, less on the Reds side, and they played pretty poorly on defense. The Reds tied it up at 10-10 in one inning when they got 6 runs, capped off by a 3-run home run by Cash Case. So they tied it up, but then Bluefield just hit second gear and left them behind, and ended up the game 21-11. Bluefield beat the Greeneville Reds. Felt like Bluefield could have kept going and got another 9 or 10, but they just decided they had enough, right? Game 2, Saturday night. Saturday night was a much closer game, much tighter game, much funner to watch, and it didn't go quite as long. It ended up being, going into the ninth, it was 3-3, and then the Bluefield Blue Jays scored 4 runs in that inning. And the Reds came back in the bottom of the ninth, and they had they got the bases loaded, but then the last man struck out, and all the players died on base. So 7-3 win, Bluefield, but a much better performance on the Reds' part and on their pitching roster's part. So that leads us into Sunday's game. Now, Sunday's game was a different team, the Johnson City Cardinals, and they and the Reds are sharing the basement in their division of the Appalachian League. So, as you might expect, closer game. That game goes through, and Heatherly started out pitching and did much better than he had previously. Showed pretty good control, showed pretty good velocity. I think that he's moving along. He's going to get better. He had to calm down some after that first game. And then the other guy that did something there was Ryland Thomas, who got his first hit, a double, and his second hit, a home run. And so he had a pretty good game, despite at least one error in defense, but good game at the plate. So ended up the Reds won 9-5. As I think I said earlier, they played tonight, Monday night. I couldn't go. I had to listen on the internet actually, and they lost in the 10th inning to Johnson City. But they did well. I mean, again, close games, or pretty close games. Players to watch, the Reds, like I said, it feels like they've put up guys who should still be in the compound leagues a little bit longer, but some of them are coming along pretty well. Miguel Hernandez, who is the short guy who's been playing shortstop most of the time, number 33, has good range, a good arm, accurate throws, and he seems to be their best defensive man. His problem might well be that he knows he's the best defensive man, and he does range too far, and there's been issues with him bumping into other guys doing plays and that. So, maybe if he learns to play a little bit more within himself, he'll be better. I don't recall him doing all that great at bat, though, and I think that might be something he has to work on. Otherwise, we've got Cash Case, who seems to be their best hitter. He's the guy that even when he's uh, not out in the field, they have him doing designated hitting, and he's played second base when I've seen, because he's not as good as Hernandez. He is number 12 and played second base. He seems to have some issues with defense, but hopefully that'll come along, and his batting will continue to improve, and he'll be pretty good. Uh, Other than that, Heatherly, the pitcher for Sunday, did well on Sunday. Like I said, velocity, control, showed velocity and control. Can't remember a whole lot of breaking stuff, but I'm sure there was some in there. He improved vastly over when I saw him on opening night, where he looked like Nuke LaRouche, right? If the Greeneville Reds had a mascot in the stadium, he'd have hit it. He'd have hit the bull, right? But they didn't, so he did not. Last night, on Sunday night, he seemed much calmer, much more in control, and things went well. So I think that he's coming along, and he'll keep moving along. And then Ryland Thomas, I do have to say, on Sunday, double, home run, errors, at least one error, maybe two in his field play. But again, I think that'll come along as well. They've obviously thrown all these guys into the deep end when they could have used a little bit more polishing before they were brought in. It seems like the Reds just had to throw it together, right at the end, the last 2 weeks or so, probably even shorter than that before the season started. So they're getting it figured out as they go along, and we'll see what happens with them in the end. I suspect over the next couple of years we're going to see a lot more Dominicans or Venezuelans and that sort of thing being brought in, and that might well improve the play level some. We'll have to see. Now let's talk about the stadium and the crowds, right? The crowd on Friday night maybe was 500, which is low. This stadium seats a lot more. It can seat, I'm pretty sure, 3 or 4,000, maybe more. 500, not many. Saturday night, maybe 250, 300 at the outside. And then Sunday, more felt like it was 350, 400, something like that. More of a crowd again. Which, there are reasons for this. As if you followed what's going on here, this was because the Appalachian League doesn't have names that stick with the team, like the Toledo Mud Hens or the Lexington Legends, or anybody, Louisville Bats. The names don't stick with the teams when they change affiliations, so they change team names, and so you have people who have been rooting for the Greeneville Astros for years now being asked to totally flip the script and come back and root for the Greeneville Reds. And some of them are having difficulties with that. I've talked to a few guys who I knew were there previously that really followed the Astros, and they're not wearing red stuff yet. They're still wearing other stuff as they come to the park, and I think they'll come along, but it'll take some time. Other problems include things like the fact that when the Astros management, whoever's running it for the Astros, left, they basically scorched earth the place. There were no records, no nothing, and so the Reds have not been able to get hold of prior season ticket holders or anything like that and try to sell them season tickets. So that's been a problem. They'll hopefully solve that over time. Get new season ticket holders to come in and buy the tickets. Hopefully. Beyond that, they are showing a fair number of Reds fans are showing up. People who are there solidly and obviously because they're Reds. And these are guys showing up with shirts that say Reds on it that aren't being sold at the stadium, and hats that are Reds hats that ain't being sold at the stadium. These are true Reds fans. They're showing up. They seem to be showing up fairly consistently, and I think that that is a good kernel to grow with. And we'll see how that all turns out in the end. Hopefully the Reds will stay. I think 2 or 3 years down the road they'll be in pretty good shape, but they're working now from a poor beginning and trying to get something really going. So let's talk about what's going on in the stadium, period. As I've said before, and I say it again, this is the best field, period, playing field, period, in the Appalachian League. It could be a single A, lower level single A stadium. I've been to worse single A stadiums than this, right? It's a nice stadium. It's the stadium itself, outside of just the playing field, is solid, really good. It's got a large number of seats, which they would have to really push to sell out for this level team in the area where it's at. But I think they'll really do well in the future, assuming they keep going well. Now, problems they do have are things like the souvenir stand, which, has a couple, 3 types of balls. They have a couple, 3 types of miniature bats, 5 or 6 different T-shirts and a polo, which are all okay, nothing spectacular, really too innovative. And they've got like 5 different hats, a mesh hat with the G on it, which is gray with the G on it. They've got the fitted hats, which, God, I hate the fitted hats. I don't know why they're all obsessed with these things, because sometimes some of us get haircuts and a quarter of size changes, and they had a couple others. They had just the brim. I don't know why they sell those unless they expect us to all go to casinos. And a hat with the Mr. Redlegs version are going with the coonskin cap, right? I'm really kind of disappointed because I know I've shown this before, and I'm not wearing it so much since the Greeneville Reds are there, but here's the hat, my favorite hat previously from the Appalachian League. Not so much because I really love the Kingsport Med logo, and although it's kind of cool. Just it's a fitted hat, fits on your head. You can adjust it with the strap in the back. It's not a clicker, but a strap in the back, and it just fits really well. And this is the kind of hat that I'm looking for, which Greeneville Reds aren't selling, right? I could see this as a red hat with, the C on it or the G on it, and they could really do more playing with the colors. Like Greeneville Reds just lends itself to all sorts of really kind of innovation and fun things you could do, but they didn't go anywhere with that this year, and we'll see if they do in the future. So that's the souvenir stand. The concession stand is not being run by the churches anymore as it was when the Astros were there. The prices are still overly high for what they offer. They don't really offer you anything all that good. They offer you what you would get at a Little League stadium, right? Pre-cooked cheeseburgers and hot dogs and hamburgers, which sit underneath a warmer. And anything you get is just not. It's $1 hot dog, but they're charging $2.50 for it. It's a $2.50 cheeseburger, which they're charging $4.50 for, right? They're overcharging for not good food. Yeah, I ate at the stadium, but not if I can help it when I come again. Just not that great. Heck, on day 2, I went and got some popcorn, and it was day-old popcorn, or it tasted like it was day-old popcorn. So they're not knocking it out of the park with the concessions. Overly priced for under good stuff. Yeah, the beer was okay, and they have colas. I'm not really drinking colas right now, but you can't ruin colas, although they charge a little bit too much. And hopefully in the future they'll be able to fix this a little bit. I know that if you go to the Tennessee Smokies, which are being run by the same people who are running this place, you can get good food. So hopefully that'll change a little bit in the future. Next year, God willing. The people who are running the games and other stuff on the stadium and doing dancing on the dugouts and that, they're out there really putting themselves out there, and they look like they're trying hard. And the woman they got in charge, woman they got in charge, it's just full of bubbling with energy and bouncing and keeping things going and making it fun and looking like she's having fun out there, right? As opposed to what it was like last year when the doggone Astros people who were running it and were like, okay, it's time for another game. Let's try this. But so hopefully these people will keep going, and this kind of energy will keep up in the future as crowds grow, and they'll really be able to keep the crowd going, God willing. One thing they're not doing well for crowd service is nobody's singing "Take Me Out to the Ballpark," right? Ball game. They just say, okay, everybody stand up and sing, and they turn on some music, really bad synthetic type music, I think, and they expect you to sing it. Now, guys, come on. You get somebody out of the stands to sing it, or you get, somebody in your booth sings it. You don't just play the music, because then people don't do it. So, Harry carry it some, guys. Just Harry carry it. But other than that, they're doing a pretty good job of running things. I think that this year is going to be down for them. Not terribly surprised by that because of the problems they had getting things going and the way they're playing now without really having great talent in the team at this point. Some good talent, but not anybody who's absolutely, going to disappear next week and go to single A, right? They're doing okay. Hopefully in the future, next year, when they've had a whole year to think this over and get it all right, things will be a little bit better, right? Come talk to me, guys, if you need ideas about your souvenir stand. Concessions, I don't know. I'm not that guy. Go find somebody who knows how to cook. And other than that, I think the core Reds fans they're starting to draw will develop. The locals who like baseball will start coming back. And 2 or 3 years, everybody will be happy that they're there with the Reds. Hopefully the Reds will stay. The Reds have been in the Appalachian League before and left, so they don't have a history of sticking around. On the other hand, with some of their teams, like Billings out in the Pioneer League, they've been there forever, and maybe this is what they're going to do here with Greeneville. They'll stick around for a while this time. We'll have to see. Having said all that, let me finish this the way I always do. If you like what you saw today, hit like. If you like what you see around here generally, hit subscribe. If you want to contact me at LammersK at Twitter, and direct message me. Comments below, leave them. Have at. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me what I'm wrong about anything. I can't promise I'll try to read them all. I cannot promise I will reply to them all because, got that pesky day job that seems to interfere with this hobby. Funny how that happens. Whoops. Okay. And now, one last bit of advice, same last bit of advice I always give. If you got a little bit of spare money, you got a little bit of spare time, go watch the minor league sports. Y'all have a good week now.